Here's Two Grumpy People's 10 list of not recommended restaurants at Disney World. And I really think we should make it clear that just because they're on our not recommended list doesn't mean that they're bad or that they will always be bad. It's that for one reason or another, they annoyed us, we had a bad experience, or they just wasn't worth the money, or whatever the case may be. So
they didn't have that extra special something that blew us away.
It was just the kind of place I'd say, I wouldn't go back there unless
I mean,
I had
it's
to
worth
or
giving it
something.
a shot at least once, but outside of that, I don't feel a need to go back.
So, the first place that I thought of was the Beer Garden in the Germany Pavilion in Epcot's World Showcase. I was kind of looking forward to going there because, it's kind of supposed to be an authentic German experience. So that's always fun in the World Showcase. You always want to kind of do the authentic dining. That's, it's just different from anything that you have in the States usually. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of sausage.
And yet we went to Beer Garden.
And we went to the Beer Garden. And really, the only food they have is sausage. So there's some lovely white sausage, some red sausage, some brown sausage.
And
Big
then,
sausage, little sausage.
Yes, have some sausage with some sausage.
Would you like
and
some
then-
sausage gravy with that sausage?
And then have some sauerkraut and potato salad.
Yeah, and German potato salad, of course. Just didn't care for the flavors or the style of food, even the bread. And I'm a huge bread eater, and of course it's traditional German thick, heavy bread, and not my thing. So I guess the desserts were nice. That's about it.
Oh, they were good. I mean, that's to say we don't like German food. It's just we didn't like this German food.
Yeah, I think there's some German food that's different, but what they were serving here wasn't what I was. I guess it's traditional beer garden food though, so they're keeping with the theme.
Yeah.
They have you seat. They seat you at a common table or communal table, which is
Which
kind
you
of
share
traditional
with
again.
Up to 3 families.
Yeah, which some people really like. It's kind of fun because it gives you someone to converse with at dinner.
Personally, I don't care for it at all.
Yeah, we're kind of like, we're very, you could probably tell, not those kind of people. I like talking to people on the bus, on the tram, not so much at dinner. I kind of want to be alone in my little world. So that's not really a big, it could be a good thing though, I guess, especially if you were alone in the park. It would give you someone to talk to and not just sit there like a social leper. Not our thing though. And the entertainment again, they try to stick with the traditional, so they had the traditional musician performing on a xylophone. Xylophone music is not even big in Germany anymore, so the Oompa Loompa band thing is cute once, maybe twice, but if that's your evening's entertainment, you gotta be drunk. So
Or have more to it. We went to a German-themed restaurant in Busch Gardens
yeah, and they had the whole dancing, and that was nice.
in Williamsburg, and that was they had a whole show and dance with a double-decker stage and everything, and that was very fun.
That was much
And
better.
they used communal tables too, which were a bit bigger, but it was more like when you go to the school cafeteria. You could sit where you wanted. You weren't placed with somebody.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to sort of space yourself a little bit away from someone, it wasn't impossible.
Yeah, and there all the tables face toward the entertainment, whereas in Disney they're lined up like a beer garden would be. So
Yes.
yeah, where it was it wasn't that it wasn't entertaining really. After a while, it was kind of like okay, he's gonna sing another one, isn't he? So the entertainment was not to die for. The music was not to die for. I mean, the food was not to die for. And we're not into the communal seating. So these are things that some other people might find
Perfect.
positives. Yeah, I mean, great traditional German food, traditional German music, group seating, so you can have lovely, lively conversation. Also, they do serve beer there. It is a beer garden. It's one of the few places in the Disney parks where you can, buy liquor with your food, or alcohol. It's not really liquor. And a lot of people like that you can get the German beer there. They serve the actual German beer. Again, we don't drink any sort of alcohol, so that was not a big attraction for us. And I think it could be a lot more fun if you were there with a large group and you were all getting into the spirit of the thing.
So, just for it being what it is, it's not their fault, it's us.
Yeah.
We don't care for it.
But we did try it, yay, and it is something that you might want to try once, at least, even if you're not into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sadly, another restaurant, this one I was really looking forward to going to and had been for a long time, was the Italian restaurant in Epcot, which was the Tutto Italiano. Now, to be fair, when we went there, it was in the middle of changing ownership and management.
The previous management and previous restaurant that ran that particular Disney restaurant, something would happen and they left. And so Disney was temporarily staffing it itself and running it by itself for a little while before they found a new group to run it. And so we caught it right there in the middle. We had been wanting to try it for a while. When we did, it was in the middle.
And I can only think of one positive about this, and this is so sad, but the only positive about it was that it's very lovely. It has traditional plastering on the walls and traditional painting and detail work and stuff. So in my mind, that was really the only positive.
Yeah, I mean, the food was okay because it was just Disney food. It wasn't anything special.
In fact, my food was undercooked. I mean,
that's right.
I don't always remember my meals, and I specifically remember because I had ordered linguine, and it was more than al dente.
Yeah, too much.
It was a little too hard. So that's definitely. I mean, when you can't cook linguine and you're an Italian restaurant.
And it was a bit rowdy.
It was extremely loud. It was so
a
loud.
lot. It was a little too much.
I expected it to be a much quieter environment, given the way it's decorated and it's
and
considered
did we have
a
to
luxury.
get reservations on that one?
We did. That was a reservation one that we almost didn't make. Remember, we had to rush to
That's
it.
right. And then after all that, and it wasn't even really.
Yeah, it wasn't really worth
to
it.
us.
It wasn't worth it. Yeah, and they were booked up solid. They were solid booked.
Based on the reputation from the previous owners.
Yeah. So again, they may be. Oh, and they were slow. That was the other. The service wasn't even good. That they were slow. They got the orders wrong. They weren't responding rapidly to people. People's water glasses were empty. Just
lots of problems.
Yeah, they had
issues. It's not necessarily their fault, but it's just what happened.
Yeah.
And
hopefully, it's gone. I might go back there again.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go back.
Give them a second chance.
Give the new owners a chance.
And hopefully it's better. Now this was one that we kind of disagreed with, and we kind of went back and forth, and we weren't sure how to put it on the list. The San Angel Inn Restaurante, the Mexican restaurant, and the Big Pyramid, also World Showcase. And another one that you have to get a reservation for. This one's pretty easy to get a reservation at, though.
Yeah, this one's not too bad. This one's, I love the theming. I love the theming.
It definitely gets high marks for the theming. It's seated right there next to the Rio del Tiempo ride, which is now, of course, Donald's Fiesta. But
I love it because it's set. It's funny because the restaurant is set outside, even though it's actually inside of the
yes,
it's
the like outside seating, but it's really inside.
And it's supposed to be under moonlit skies, kind of.
And they got the twinkling star effect. They have the paper lanterns hanging around, so it's really they really create a nice fiesta atmosphere in an air-conditioned environment indoors. So yeah, they really did an awesome job with the theming. And they even had the mariachi band, which I liked. Unfortunately, we were there with my mother, who is elderly and diabetic,
and set in
she
her
was
ways.
Expecting very set in her ways. Mexican food, as
was not expecting that experience.
As Americans say.
In New Mexico, not Mexico.
Yes.
New Mexico food. Even though we had warned her that it was a little classier type of Mexican cuisine. She just wasn't expecting what they had on offer. I thought the food was pretty good, to be quite honest. What I had, we all had something different, and there was fish and several other things. One of the problems that she had was that she had nachos, I think it was, or something along those lines, and she wanted some cheese.
Yes.
And they said they didn't have any cheese, and we were like, "You don't have any cheese?" And they're like, "No, this is traditional. We don't put cheese." I said, "We understand you don't put. We understand that. We're willing to pay extra. We just want some kind of cheese. You have to have some kind of cheese back there.
Bring us some melted shredded cheese or something.
Any kind of whatever you've got." And the guy was just like, "No, we don't have cheese." He was very rude, actually, about it. And I'm sure that he felt insulted because we were, stupid Americans asking for. We weren't asking for nacho cheese sauce. So I think that there may have been some breakdown in communication, but I don't think it's ever acceptable to be rude to a guest, particularly one who's quite obviously low on her blood sugar and wants something now.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been a great deal of effort for them to find some kind of cheese, at least make the effort, and he was kind of rude about it. So that was the negative there. The food itself was pretty good. The weight was a little okay. So, the Sunshine Seasons. What didn't we like about that one? It's just not really good food choices. And people have talked about this on some of the websites and blogs that I've been checking out. They've had the same stuff there forever and a day, and it's just, it's really loud and crowded. What was your tummy? His tummy made a noise. Always talking about food, huh?
The longer name is Sunshine Seasons Food Fair, and its selection is basically just wraps and salads. That's about it.
Yeah.
It's like it used to be a nice food court type atmosphere, and it's just slowly been pared down to nothingness. Yeah. And at this point, it's almost not worth them having it open. They might as well just close it off
all in
completely.
like refrigerated cases.
They're all in refrigerated cases.
You could go to 7-Eleven and get this food.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I'm thinking they should probably just do away with that food court altogether. Okay, then we're talking about Cosmic Rays. Cosmic Rays is just another counter service food court, like in every park has one or two or more of these very similar type restaurants. The only problem I have with Cosmic Rays is it's in a location that's extremely busy in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom.
The corner of Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, actually.
So busy and so loud. It's just it's just miserable being in there. Now, some people don't mind noise. They like being in with all the hubbub and the excitement, and that's great. It does, of course, have the cool animatronic
and
comedian.
That's part of what it is. It draws in especially the younger crowd, the kids. They bring in their kids in there, and then it just kind of feels like Chuck E. Cheese with all the noise going on, and it's not pleasant. If you happen to catch it at just the right time, when it's very, very low crowds, then it's probably excellent. But just when you catch it at the wrong time, lunch and dinner.
If you're there with a rowdy bunch of kids and stuff, and then it's great, But if you're with kids who need their space, or if you're a grown up that just really have had enough of the noise at that point, when you sit down to a meal, you don't really want all that craziness going on, and you might want to pick another spot to have your lunch or dinner at.
Yeah, there's lots of different places. It just sells hamburgers and chicken nuggets type thing and fries. So it's same fare you can get almost anywhere else.
Yeah. Coral Reef. Wow, this was
a sad disappointment.
So disappointing. So disappointing. We had been looking forward to this for a while.
Almost as long as the Cellier Steakhouse.
Yeah, it was our number 2 choice for getting a reservation. We couldn't get Le Cellier, so we got this one, and we were very lucky to have it. Very happy. We had to take one of the last seatings, which was like at 10 o'clock at night or something like that. It was pretty late. Pretty late enough that when we came out, the fireworks were going on. So it was pretty late. And despite having a pretty late reservation, we had to wait for a table, which was kind of surprising.
Quite a while. Two times we had to wait outside for another little bench to sit on with another couple groups, who then went into the restaurant to actually sit down and enjoy the meal. And because I think it was a busy time of the year, it didn't help. We got a lot of people in there, and it's supposed to be a really nice restaurant. And we got them in there in flip-flops and tank tops.
Yeah. And then, sadly, it's a little misleading in the booklets and the reservation guide and so forth. You're led to believe that everyone has a lovely view of the underwater scenes and the tanks.
There's
and,
actually
that's
2
not
tiers. And each tier has 2 different rows of seating.
And we couldn't choose. We couldn't ask them. We asked them to move, but there were no tables available.
And it was
closer.
also in a lot of the pictures and brochures appears to be a lot bigger than it is. It's actually a very small dining room.
Yeah, it's
surprisingly
really small.
enough.
Yeah, I thought it would be much bigger than it was. But it was very
small.
disappointing to be seated in an upper tier where you couldn't really see the aquarium, which that was the whole point of accepting, of getting that reservation, was to be able to dine, watching the, the fish and the whatever swimming by. So that was disappointing.
As far as the food itself, wasn't too bad. It wasn't, again, it wasn't wonderful, superb. It was
Nothing
it was
to write
good.
home about. Yeah. The dessert was delicious though.
Oh yes,
Incredibly rich,
extremely rich.
Like we said, the people in the next table were actually remarking the same that we were, that it was service was slow, it was overpriced, it wasn't particularly a pleasant experience. However, the dessert was very good, but a little too rich. In fact, one of the ladies next to us couldn't finish hers. I did manage to force my way. The day that I don't finish something that contains chocolate, check me into a hospital. But it was really rich and very good. We might try it again sometime when it's less busy, if we can request an advance seating near the tanks. But to be seated in that second tier just seems pointless to me. What is the point of going to a restaurant that you pay way too much for, and you have to have a reservation, times aren't necessarily what you want, and then turn out that it's not even the experience that you're paying for.
Expected, yeah.
I mean, half of what you're paying for in that restaurant is the experience. And they specialize in surf and turf, so you would think that the fish and or lobster or whatever would be, to rave for, and it's not. We both went with seafood thinking that, it's the coral reef, it's got to be, seafood king, and it's not that great. Actually, the food at Shutters was much better. Okay, let's talk about one that's kind of considered a classic, you have to do at Disney. Casey's Corner in Magic Kingdom.
That one's another one that's kind of... The problem is that everyone has to do it. So everyone does do it.
Sadly.
So everyone is there at the same time.
And it's a stand-up, go buy your hot dog and get your fixings.
And that's about it. It's just basically a hot dog.
I think there are a few tables inside.
There is tables.
Yeah.
There is, but
we took ours
standing
out
tables.
to the tables
They're only
outside.
stand-up tables.
Yeah.
They're not even sit-down
Okay,
tables.
so they're
just counter height.
Traditional hot dog kind of place. And I guess the hot dogs are good. I mean, they're not...
They're hot dogs.
They're hot
as
dogs.
As far as we're concerned, they're hot dogs.
They're not terrible hot dogs, and they're not going to, they're probably not made of chicken gizzards, but
no, they're probably made from actual
all beef hot dogs,
beef, blah,
but
blah, blah.
Yeah, nothing to write home about.
When you spend $10 on getting 2 people, a quick
and you
hot
have to
dog lunch,
elbow people out of the way to try to get your ketchup and mustard and the onions and whatever.
And then you go outside and all the tables are just about full.
Yeah. Now, if you can go during an off time when not everybody's there, then it's great. And of course, it's a terrific place to get. There's often a guy out there playing piano. You might see the Dapper Dans come by, so it's nice for that. It's on the corner of Main Street, but it's also right there next to some of the busiest stores. So you get a lot of the overflow, people just walking through, and it's just really chaotic.
And it connects to at least one store,
Yeah.
and there's actually what's really kind of neat is it's usually too busy to do this because there isn't much room in there, but just behind it there's a room you can go into, you can take your food in there, no problem, and they have some wooden bleachers set up and a screen running like some cartoon baseball games and stuff, so that you can sit there and watch it and feel like you're having the hot dog at a baseball game.
Yeah.
again, it's too busy to really enjoy.
Yeah, most of the time you really can't do it. But again, if you go during off time, it might be great. But as far as we're concerned, we're not recommending it. We say just skip it. It's not really worth it. Hollywood and Vine.
There's a disappointment for you.
Hollywood. The picture that they right now have on Disney's website, if you go to their list of restaurants and look at that picture, that is not what you will see at Hollywood and Vine. I don't know when they took that picture with the chocolate fountain and all the desserts and a guy in a chef hat.
Well, there is a chocolate fountain in desserts.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? The average open house has a chocolate fountain too.
True.
It is not a fancy restaurant
If
at
you
all.
love the Furs restaurant chain, or if you like Golden Corral, then you'll have a high probability of liking this place.
It's a cafeteria style restaurant. I mean, you go through with your plate or whatever, and you ask the guy for whatever, and they plop the food on your plate, and then you pay by the plate. And then they have they also have like a little bar that you can. I'm not sure, but
there's a little bit.
Yeah. That for me it was kind of a negative experience because I was doing it on a leave from a deployment where I had been eating at a chow hall for 9 months, and then and then you go in there and you say, okay, I want some spaghetti, and they plop it on your plate, and I'm like, really? I feel like I'm in a chow hall. Thank you.
And this was her first meal back in the United States, and this is what we gave her. And
yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't very good. The other thing is, I think it's very misleading actually how Disney depicts it in all of their literature. They should be a little more honest that it is not a fine dining experience.
It is not even close.
It is definitely it's not counter service technically, but it's cafeteria
it's hovering
style.
the line.
Yeah, it's straddling that line. It is dining. It is a sit down meal, but and it is kind of loud and crazy in there. Strangely, it's one of the more popular restaurants in in Disney's Hollywood studio.
I think it's probably the price per what you get.
Yeah, it's probably because you do
good.
get a fairly good amount of food, and you can go back for second and so forth. So, and they have lots of desserts that you can choose from. Of course, the traditional cafeteria pudding, cookies,
and Jell-O.
Jell-O, yeah. So, I mean, it's not bad food. The food is not bad. It's just not cuisine. It's just food.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason we did it actually at the time though was they used to have, I don't know if they still do, the experience where you got
every so often.
you got the meal there, and then you got like a little ticket, and you got reserved seating for the Fantasmic show later.
Show package, yeah. Sometimes they do it.
And we're
Sometimes
huge
change
fans of
restaurant.
Fantasmic, and that's why we had got that package, and then we ended up not being able to attend the show anyway, so it was a waste. I guess if you get it as part of a package deal and you get to go to see Fantasmic afterwards, it's probably worthwhile. If you don't oversell it to yourself, you're not expecting more than what it is, you'll probably enjoy it a whole lot more. But as long as they're overselling it, I'm going to say I don't recommend, because I don't like when people oversell.
And as far as we're concerned, your best bet is just to go to this.
And you're using one of your signature
credits.
dining. Well, we use signature dining because we did because it was the package deal.
Sure.
But it's still a table credit meal, and it's really almost a counter service quality. So you're kind of wasting.
You're better off going with the Sunshine Fresh Market.
Yeah.
Across from Fantasmic, and then just walking in early to the show.
Yeah.
That's your best bet. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you'll get counter service, you go get early seating for the show.
And you can sit down and relax and eat your food, and you don't have to worry if your kids are spilling their chili. No one's going to care. You're sitting on concrete steps. Quick wipe and you're good. You don't have to worry about the kids,
And if you sit there early enough, you don't need, reserved seating.
Yeah, you don't need you really don't need reserved seating anyway. I mean, it's pretty much anywhere you sit is a
as long as
pretty
you get
good
in
view.
the stadium, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, of course you want to get the closer you get generally, and more toward the middle is better. But anywhere you get in there is a great show. And so let's see. And one that probably many people would disagree with, Les Halles Boulangerie and Patisserie. Oh, forgive me, French people everywhere. Don't write me. Don't write me. I know I just slaughtered that.
This is one that we almost didn't put on our not recommend list because the food is good. The food has nothing to do with it. Food's good.
Yes.
A pretty decent selection.
Yeah.
But the problem is that cute little tiny itsy bitsy little petite shop.
Yes.
It gets a bit crowded.
It's everyone who goes to the French pavilion, the French section.
Yep.
Tries to fit into that shop, and
there's two sets of counters that you can pick up whatever your pastry or whatever it is.
It's a little confusing, to be quite honest.
To most people, yes, because you don't realize what's going on at first. You don't realize they're both the same food and etc.
Yeah. So you get people crossing back and forth, trying to figure out what's on either side, bumping into
trying
each other.
Trying to go down the line and check everything out.
There's
before
not,
they order.
there's not a lot of clear signage up where you can read it. So they're trying to look through the glass. Everybody's trying to crowd around, see what's in there. And then there's no seating. That's the number one. There's no seating inside, and then outside is like 3 tables, tiny tables, those little bistro metal tables, which are all that was expected. I blame this on Disney. I blame this squarely on Disney. This is not their fault. The proprietors of the little place are doing the best they can. I don't think Disney realized
how popular it would be.
Look, it's the World Showcase. Most of the people who go there for the experience of tasting the various foods of the various lands and so forth. Hence, the Food and Wine Festival is so incredibly popular. It's 90% of what people want to do when they go there. And it's France, so of course it's known for its food and for its little bakeries. And so everyone wants to go there and get that experience. And, you've got a few hundred people trying to crowd into an experience intended for 10 or 20. They should have either put in 2, one on either side of the French Pavilion, or put in more of those little stands, like they have the little crepe stand. By the way, instead of doing the patisserie, go get you a crepe from the crepe stand. It's delicious. And you won't wait for more than a couple of, maybe 10 minutes most. Yeah. You'll be there a little while trying to get your tiny little dessert.
Oh, and the crepe stand, by the way, has 4 or 5 big tables that you can sit at, nice and comfortably.
Makes no sense, right? And you can take your crepe and walk down the street with it. I don't understand. So everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants the chairs. They drag the chairs around. So then even when you find a table, there's no chair sitting next to it. You got to go find you a chair. And it's hot. There's no shading.
It's a really awkward little alley. They have it shoved down because of the way
which would have been really a delightful little find if it had been
played
as they planned
out the way they planned it. Yes.
Yeah, they just have way too much traffic for what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a little delightful look what I found, this cute little shop, and you go in and you buy your dessert, and then
which is what it would be in real life in France for real, but in America
it doesn't quite work that way.
No, it's not playing that way.
So delicious desserts available there. Of course, the eclairs are to die for, and they have the quiche, which is tasty. It's good. It's not frozen.
It's not frozen,
unlike
and
certain other places.
Everything they have there is fresh, made daily, etc., etc. The quiche, some people don't like it cold because they're kind of weird.
Yeah, me.
Well, I'll eat either way.
I'll admit it. I'm an American.
But they're nice enough that they'll heat it up and they won't even give you an ugly face for it. So.
Yeah, they won't even be rude about it. I gotta give it. They try their best in there. They're really, you can see them sweating. They're just jumping from person to person trying to help everyone.
Bringing out trays of food.
They just need another eating place or 2 over there because they have their famous restaurant over there, and everybody wants reservations. But in fact, I think they have 2 now. Don't they have 2 restaurants? But the thing is, you can't get reservations, and even if you can, that's what. Normally during the middle of the day, that's not what people are wanting to do. They're not wanting to have formal sit-down reservations. They're wanting to hop from World Showcase to World Showcase and sample all the different cuisines.
That's why those little shops get rated so much, because they're just quick counter
Which again surprises me why the one in Norway doesn't get one. I think partly it's people don't recognize what it is. Mm-hmm. And then partly because to a lot of American taste, that's a very foreign taste and flavor and style of food, and they're kind of like, I don't I think I'll just go over here to the French Pavilion where, I mean, who doesn't know what an eclair is? So. And speaking of eclairs, the last one on our list that we are not recommending, and this is all me, is the Starring Rolls Cafe in Disney's
I think it was probably the same trip.
It might have been.
We were walking past it and we're like, hey, you know what? Let's just stop in here. We want some breakfast. Let's stop in here. We never stopped in here.
I was starving. I had a headache.
Kind of headache.
The heat.
We went in there. It was another little bitty shop. Very, very, very crowded again. Because it's a little bitty shop. Not set up in the proper way at all. It's like an L-shaped shop with two doorways at different weird entrances.
Yeah.
But we go in there. Me and my grandmother and her went in there. Got what we wanted. She wanted eclair so badly. Went in there, got it, came out. And what happened?
And this you would not expect from a Disney restaurant,
especially
in a million years,
showing that it was a bakery.
It is a bakery, and I bite into my eclair, and it's frozen. They were serving frozen eclairs. I don't care if they made them themselves and then froze them for shipment over there, or if they bought them frozen. I don't care. I do not expect to go to a bakery and buy a frozen eclair for what, $6 or whatever the heck you pay for a freaking.
We're not even complaining that it was pre-made. We're complaining that it was still frozen.
It was still frozen.
It wasn't thawed.
You're serving me a frozen. I was very upset because here I was not feeling well anyway, spending way too much money doing something, but I needed something to eat, and it was ridiculously long line, and then go through all of that and to get a frozen eclair. So. Not recommended, Starring Rolls. Get your act together. Do not serve frozen bakery products. Not cool. And that's our list of restaurants that are not recommended at Disney World. Again, as we said, in a lot of cases, just because we didn't like it doesn't mean you won't, and things constantly change. So don't take our word for it.